So I was going to put out 2 videos yesterday, but then I realized I wanted to come with some receipts for the matter. So we are talking about today how net zero initiatives will ultimately leave Canadians in the dark and unalived. And we're talking about the woke fascism happening in Canada as we speak. So if any of that interests you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie B. Let's get into today's video. So firstly, I just want to say this, that every time I looked up what that man's name was, I often was running into lefties calling him the ramen shaman. Now, here's the thing. Because they called him that, I thought that he was like a religious Weird Al type of person, okay? He's got the look, okay? No, that is actually not the case. They were making fun of him. So I don't want my video to seem like I am making fun of him. So I will correct that his name is not the ramen shaman, okay? His name is Sean Feucht. Okay, and I thought it was weird because I was like, isn't shaman have to do with Jewish people? I genuinely don't know. But right now we are seeing an effort on the left, which is exactly why I'm here. I am here to literally debunk the left, because tell me why. You guys let me know if the left wouldn't be absolutely losing their minds if they were denied a permit for Pride, despite all of the wild behaviors that we see at Pride, okay? I would still stand on business that they have their freedom to have a parade or protest or whatever. You know what I mean? Because I actually stand on my ethics. I cannot believe that you guys on the left, and when I yell like this, okay, when I start getting angry, just know that I'm talking to all the left-leaning idiots in my comments or on TikTok, okay? And I don't mean to be so divisive at all, okay? But this is going to lead us into fascism. This is going to lead us into communism if it does not stop. Because how are they okay with this? How do they cognitively dance around the fact that our governments are denying permits to Christian singers? So you can come here and sing, like, if Avenged Sevenfold has played in Canada, they literally come here and sing about being a necrophile. But this is not okay. My Chemical Romance is coming here, and I love My Chemical Romance. I'm going to the damn concert. But the whole thing is about pretending to be in a fascist dictatorship and stuff like that. And there is explosions and stuff like that, obviously fake, but like not even a thought in their minds to cancel that. And if they ever did, I would lose my mind. And then not only that, they rolled out the red carpet, literally got rid of homeless people around the Rogers Center, okay? Changed the street to Taylor Swift Way, okay? These people would be losing their effing minds if they were denied any of that. A pride parade? Are you guys kidding me? If you guys were Elizabeth May already says that there is a gay genocide happening in Canada. And you guys allow her to say that, despite knowing how serious of a word is, and despite us not being able to use that word when they literally give us, I think I'm wearing my shirt backwards. No, I'm not. Okay, good. An experimental medication to be able to work, and locking us in our homes and getting us to call the cops on our neighbors. And they still do not think that that's wrong. If you are on the left right now, you are under the impression that what happened during the Panini press was okay, and it wasn't. It wasn't. But yeah, just like you guys look away from everything else, I'm going to need you guys to stand up. Just like when it comes to Chris and Tamara, stand up, gain some empathy, gain the ability to look at from another person's perspective, okay? Because if this was any other, I don't know, Hindu, Jewish, Islam, if it was any of those, or Muslim, if it was any of those religions putting on an event, it literally would not even make the news. I am sick and tired of the left persecuting Christians, saying they're not doing it, and then trying to gaslight us. Stop, think for yourselves for once and think, if this happened to me or literally anybody else, and by the way, for the person that commented and said that the Christians were a hateful group, it is not my or any other Christian's problem that you can look at everything else and say, oh, well, there's a couple of bad apples that have given a bad name to this, blah, 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 and actually look into it further and realize that Christ literally promotes cohesion and kindness and stuff like that, and understand that people might have ruined the Christian name and that it's not actually about hate and stuff. I digress. Let's get into the hard truth and the hard questions that we need to be asking any community who does not want Canadian energy flowing through our homes and our cars. Okay, here are the hard questions, because here's the thing, you're not going to get me. You don't think I can understand why it would be upsetting for us to destroy the earth? I literally live next to, close to a mill that puts out formaldehyde. When I am gardening, there's sometimes I can't even garden because it smells so bad that I have to go inside of my house. But it's also the thing that puts money and food on my table. So I completely understand the dichotomy of not wanting our earth to be polluted, but I also understand that people will be unalived if we do not get Canadian energy. If we continue this nonsense zero carbon emissions BS, which we all know is not actually caring about the environment, by the way, they're going to come in and they're going to be like, okay, oil is so horrible, it's terrible, so we're going to do lithium batteries. Have you ever seen a lithium pit? Okay. If the federal government rolls over, the provinces are going to come in, and Doug Ford does not give a crap. This stuff is going to happen whether you have a say about it or not. Please, for the love of God, have a say and actually participate in this so that us all Canadians can be a lot safer. Because if you know stuff right now, we know that there are things being placed on top of dumps and that it's unusual high cancer rates in these areas and nothing's being done about it. So please, for the love of Pete, work with our government. Okay, I understand that our earth is sacred, but you cannot justify, and we need to ask this question, why are you okay with exploiting other parts of the earth, just not Canada? Why is Canada so unbelievably untouchable? Because when we lose gas and oil and all of these things that they want to get rid of in the name of green and saving the planet, our population will go down. Okay, and I've known this for a long time, but I brought some receipts, okay? So I'm not that scientific, so I'm going to read the ones that I understand, okay? I will link this study below and the Alex Clark podcast of the guy from Greenpeace talking about all of this. Now, I don't agree with everything he says because he says things like the fertilizer or not the fertilizer, some of the stuff that they're spraying on our foods is not affecting our health, which I don't believe that. But when it comes to him working for Greenpeace and then saying that all of a sudden there was people there with a different agenda and that he had to leave because it went from making peace between earth and people to just wanting like anti-human and not liking people in the slightest. So hold on, let's read this together. So the whole argument of this paper is that instead of being stopped, the fossil fuels should be expanded, and here's the reasons that they give. Provide more carbon dioxide, which makes more food, are used to make nitrogen fertilizer that enables the feeding about half the world's population, and provide reliable and inexpensive energy to people everywhere, especially for two-thirds of the world's population without adequate electricity. So here's what's going to happen, because I don't think you guys know that Danielle Smith is not screwing around when she says if we do not get more energy, people will be cold in the winter. And what happens? What happens when our economies fail? Which, by the way, Northern Ontario is a perfect example of them destroying our land around here and then taking advantage and using all of the resources and then just leaving and abandoning us. That is exactly what the rest of Canada will look like if we do not get energy infrastructure going. So the questions we need to ask people are, and this is everybody who agrees with not touching our resources, okay? We need to ask them why they're so okay with exploiting other parts of the earth but not ours. Are you okay with thousands of people being unalived? Because if we do not have energy, if our economy crashes, what do you think happens? When people, I need to look it up, but if they actually still want to get rid of the fertilizer, we're cooked. We're cooked. I don't even know. I genuinely don't even know how else to describe it other than we are cooked. We are 50 days away from a national food shortage, okay? And here's the thing, like I said, I understand the nuance, okay? I understand the farmer who doesn't want a road put through the middle of his effing field, okay? I understand the homeowner that doesn't want a wind turbine on their property. I understand these things, okay? But I also understand that you can get a ton of money, okay? You can get a ton of money for allowing this to happen and agreeing to whatever you want to agree with. And you would have say. You would have say, and you'd be able to help these people, our government actually put these things in places that are safe rather than just doing whatever the hell they want to do to get stuff pushed through. This is ridiculous. People do not understand the weight of what happens if we do not have gas and oil. And I am not somebody who doesn't think that we shouldn't look into other options. I don't understand why I do. Why this green thing needed to be all or freaking nothing. When some of the green things that we, supposed green things that they want to replace gas and oil with are worse for the environment and take up more electricity. It just honestly astounds me that people do not see past headlines. They think, oh my gosh, if our earth is heating and we're the only country trying to stop that heating, it's not going to stop heating. It's also, there's nothing we can do to stop the world from heating, okay? There is nothing we can do as a society, as a world overall, if Mother Nature wants to, it will win. There's no stopping the end of the world if the end of the world is coming by using glass jars, which I do. There is no stopping from the earth from imploding from heat if you use less plastic. We are also not the ones who have become people have no idea. The left genuinely thinks they're these like crusaders for people with disabilities. Do you have any idea? Last year, for some reason, they did I think it was 2023. I got one thing of toilet paper and it was covered in wrapping, like paper instead of plastic. And I was carrying it on my groceries and the fucking toilet paper went everywhere. Do you guys understand that I cannot have contaminated toilet paper because of my disability? No, you guys don't think beyond the headlines. You don't think and look into literally anything and how much plastic saves lives because it's sterile. And you know what? It's just so much like the situation where even during BLM, when I supported BLM and people were like, defund the police. I'm like, do you know what happens when we defund the police? Robot police. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, I'm correct. Okay? And maybe one day you guys on the left will realize that this is all for their capital gains. Like they are telling you guys that gas and oil is horrible and propping up green as if it's going to save our lives. It's not. It's actually most of the time significantly worse. They're saying that now wind turbines are breaking and they have fiberglass in them and that fiberglass is going all over the beach. Yeah, my husband used to build them. He used to come home and there'd be fiberglass all over the place and it would cut us. We couldn't even wash his clothes in the same laundry washing machine because it literally would get ruined from the fiberglass. And now those things are breaking and the fiberglass is going everywhere. And I'll tell you something, when he did it in 2013, when we started dating, that's where he was working and they had no idea what to actually do. They have no idea what to actually do. They got prints, but every single blade was made differently because it was just layers and layers of this fabric, and then glue, and then resin, and then blah, blah, blah. Okay? What I'm surmising and telling you is that these giant things are in the sky made out of fiberglass, and there's cases where those things are not going because I don't know how strong wind has to be to literally be able to make one of those blades go spin, let alone 3 of them, okay? But they've had to hook up generators to them to get them to go. Gas power generators. Gas power generators. We do not see family. We do not go on road trips. We do not. Do you think that on the left, by the way, do you think they're going to let you go on an airplane anytime that you want to go when we're not allowed to drive wherever we want to drive? This government has watched the majority of Canadians just roll over and let all of these things happen. Why wouldn't they think that this is going to be allowed? Like my husband, he thinks like it's not going to happen. They're not going to allow it to happen. There's going to be a mass exodus. Yeah. And we've already been those people who have left Southern Ontario for greener pastures, but we might have to keep going. We might have to keep rolling here. He's like, it'll never go through. Isn't it through? What do you mean? They've already put us into poverty to save the planet. I love my husband, but he always wants to give the benefit of the doubt. And I am the jump to conspiracy theories immediately person in our relationship. And I believe that you need a happy balance. But yeah, I understand it's kind of an unbelievable thing to think that our government wants to do, which is render us in our own spot. And the most freedom I ever felt in my life was when I drove my car for the first time and I could drive wherever the hell I wanted to do with my G2 and then go wherever I wanted to, listen to my music, however loud I wanted to listen to my music, whatever song I wanted to listen to. I remember feeling like that was the first kind of freedom I felt, especially when I drove to Wonderland for the first time by myself. And to have that taken away, the government's made it completely unaffordable to go on trips. Okay, I'm not a capitalist girly. I want to take my kids around Canada. Not even the world, just Canada. Can't even afford to do that anymore. But if I can't drive, if you guys want me to not be able to drive wherever I want, huge difference. Huge difference between being able to drive and stop for gas rather than having to charge my car. Northern Ontarians, and basically everywhere but Southern Ontario and Vancouver, we will cease to exist. And with more and more Canadians being added to Canada every single day, the math just isn't mathing. We need energy. We need energy projects. That's how Sweden, Denmark, all of these places that the left looks at as like the best place in the world, they all export their natural resources, and we should too. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!